couple of people saying, and okay, keep in mind that these were people who like, I don't know, they seem to be pretty much completely trolling me.
Trolling you?
So yeah, like just, you know, I don't know. I think maybe they just don't have enough to do with their lives. But basically they're oh yeah, he's gonna close the nacho box. I'm sorry, I can't wave at any of you like as engagement, like click it and wave because you're up there this time so that you can see us, both of us. There we go. But yeah, so anyway, I get kind of sometimes like, oh, you can't use the word gypsy in your handle because that's a racial slur against many people. And I'm kind of like, I mean, so I'm using it in a very positive sense. And so I don't actually know anyone who I could ask who is actually Romani, right?
Right.
Like, I understand it's a thing in Europe. I don't really think that anyone in the US would use that term as a slur, but also it's not about just intent, it's also about effect, right? So I kind of don't know where to go with that. Like, part of me thinks maybe I should change the handle, but maybe also I'm kind of like, but maybe not.
You know what? All you have to do is get a bunch of people to make rap songs out of the word and then start a movement and then tell everybody that they can't use it. That will solve your entire problem.
Sometimes he's helpful. And sometimes he's not. Anyway, how are you guys? How's your week going? What's up? Yes, I'm just in black again. And then Chris joined me. And again, we didn't plan this. We never planned this.
We never do. Like, literally, I just walked in with my black tank, and then I changed into my shirt. She had her black tank. We're wearing the same, like, jeans that just so happen to be faded from washing the same amount.
Yeah. He says it's not a slur, it's a lifestyle. Being a gypsy. It's true, though.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
I'm going to tell that to my dad. I'm going to tell that to my dad.
It's true, though. It's not. That's not how we mean it. It's not a slur. It's a lifestyle. That's exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Anyway. Okay, so today we wanted to talk about something different because we've been, being a little hard on the old bull for a while. So what we were going across some data for a client who's been with us since October.
Yeah.
And one of the things, so Chris was teaching me how to read some stuff because, it takes someone like him to read it and know what he's looking at. And I was looking at it and it occurred to me, as he was explaining it to me, oh, okay. So really what we're looking at is the percentages. And if we're looking at percentages.
Yeah.
If you gain followers within a month, but your engagement stays the same, really your engagement went down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a skewed data perception, but it is something to kind of pay attention to because you got to look at the difference between followers, impressions, and actual engagement.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be a little deceptive. If you have tons of, hi Juan, hi Phil. If you have tons of followers, right? That's great and everything. And sometimes that is the goal. For certain industries, you have to have tons of followers to be successful, right? To get the impressions, but you don't necessarily have to. And also, is the number of followers that you have, like, are they actually engaged?
Right.
And what are you doing it for? Because if the followers are there to impress someone, to get someone to donate to your organization, great, right? Then yeah, you need a ton of followers. But if your engagement is what's getting you retention and conversion, then having all of those followers might not necessarily be helping you.
Right.
And we also wanted to talk a little bit about Instagram monetization today.
Yeah.
And what things can help you or hurt you in that area.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you guys on to the whole topic. So what we're talking about, we're going to break it down for you. So we're talking about month by month, term by term, whatever time series you guys collect your data in. Mm-hmm. My job in collecting the data is to organize that into time segments and compare last segment to the current segment, right? So what Erin's talking about is, I'm going to give you guys an example. So let's say you have 3,000 followers. Your average post engagement is about 12%. and your average or your impressions are about 200, right? Now, in the month that comes next, because I do mine by the month. So in the month that comes next, let's say you had like 14, 15 more followers, and your impressions went up 100 points, but your engagement only went up 1%. That's a problem. And that's a problem because what you have is follower growth, but not necessarily audience growth. You know what I mean? So the difference between that is that you could have as many followers as you want, but it doesn't really matter if they're not engaging in your content, right? To have like 3,000 followers, get more every month, and then only change by 1%, that's an issue. That tells me that people find you boring and that your new followers that you're gaining are not interested in your business model, are not interested in engaging with you, don't want to talk to you. They're just kind of there.
Don't sugarcoat it, Chris. Just give it to them straight.
You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of there just for the sake of being there. You know what I mean?
People hate you is what he's trying to say. People don't like you. For
sure.
No, I'm kidding.
And so now the engagement is different than the impression score going up, because the impression score, I look at your impression score to determine the likelihood that people are going to want to engage, right? If you have a higher impression score, what I see as the data person is you have a higher potential of people engaging without having to pay, right? That's the important thing. What we want is organic engagement, organic growth versus paid engagement and paid growth, right? So this brings us back to the whole thing that Erin was saying about how like numbers grow, numbers change and everything, but that doesn't necessarily mean all growth is good growth, right? You're going to say something?
Well, okay. So the other thing is that we have like our ways that we always advise people to grow, right? One of those is boosting posts. And that's a perfectly legitimate way to grow, right? One of those is we always have a hashtag strategy.
Yes.
Always have a hashtag strategy for everyone. And we always make the most of the hashtag. So we're always putting like 30 in on Instagram, right?
Right.
But you want to know like the actual raw way to grow is you engage with your platform.
Yeah.
And that's what's a little bit deceptive about even what we do. We do things the honest way, right? We grow the account without paying to grow the account. But even that, I mean, when you're really raw about it, when you strip it down to its absolute essentials, it's about creating a community.
Right.
And how do you create a community? Not necessarily by advertising, but by talking to people, right? You create a community by making friends. And so really, that's how a lot of these influencers are. I mean, I know some influencers who don't even use hashtags ever.
Yeah.
They don't use hashtags and they don't boost. Like they literally grow the account by talking to people. They're on there all the time, messaging and responding to comments, and that's how they've grown their account.
Yeah, and you'll see them in the comments for sure. Every serious person on Instagram that's like an influencer, they all respond to their DMs, they respond to their comments. People give them tips, they respond to their tips, and things like that. Like that's a very huge part of their business model. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, it takes up 47% of all of their daily work interactions. You know what I mean? And so the lesson here that people forget is that social media is still socializing. You know what I mean? You still got to interact. You still got to engage. And it's not a one-way thing. You can't just post things and expect people to care enough to engage with you. You need to engage back, if not starting the engagement. You know what I mean? You need to really kind of go back to your idea that if you're going to be on social media, there has to be a socialization factor into every decision you make. You know what I mean? And like I'm telling you, like all influencers, all big brands, everybody responds to comments. Everybody responds to messages. As a matter of fact, in the data sets that I make in my reports, I give you a data set that tells you your interaction percentage and tells you if you've been interacting less or interacting more, or you haven't been responding to as many messages, or you haven't seen as many messages. You know what I mean? I give people that data because I want to tell you, like, if you're not on top of this data, if you're at 14% 1 month and then it's still 14% the next 3 months, that is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That needs to be corrected, because that tells me you're not doing the social media job function correctly, which at the end of the day is socializing.
Mm-hmm. Talking to people. So it's kind of the next step, right? Because the first step is that you got to be able to get your content game on point. You got to be producing quality, high quality content consistently. So that's a lot of what we do. That's where we start. But then in order to take that to the next level and grow in a productive way, in a way that's sustainable, you have to talk to people. You have to get on there and engage on top of the content. And that becomes your primary job.
Yeah.
Above just creating the content and distributing it. Let's talk real quick, because we want to try to keep it short tonight.
Yeah.
But let's talk real quick about fake accounts and monetizing an account and what actually goes into that. Because a lot of people that are following us are not at that stage yet.
Yeah.
But we work with some people who do.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? What happens?
Yeah. So here's the thing. To have your account monetized, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, whatever, you have to submit a review process.
What's the definition of having it monetized on Instagram? Yeah,
so if we're talking about Instagram, the definition of having it monetized is that for Instagram, you have to have more than 10,000 followers. If you have any videos posted, they have to, I forget the exact numbers, but it is something about like you have to retain 5,000, 3,000, or 6,000 video view minutes across a 3 month, 6 month, or 12-month period. Mm-hmm. They're all very short. I will tell you, everybody thinks that like, oh, just because I've been out here for like 3 years, that means I'm eligible to monetize my content all of a sudden because I hit like 20,000. No, that's not how it works. How it works is you have to hit these numbers consistently in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. That's who everybody's paying attention to. The people who are getting these things done in the short amount of time because of virality. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because the reason why they want to pay you is they're basically paying you on the assumption that the content you make has the potential to go viral. Mm-hmm. And so if you have higher video view minutes, if you have a higher following that you achieved in a short amount of time, if you've gotten a certain amount of consistent likes and consistent engagement percentage in a specific amount of time period shorter than 6 months, mm-hmm. that's when you qualify. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
And the monetization that we're talking about is different from verification.
Yeah, so monetization versus verification. Verification is when you anticipate that somebody's going to make 1 million fake bot unreal accounts, you know what I mean? And they can't differentiate the actual artist, the actual person, the actual mm-hmm. manufacturer, the actual business, you know what I mean? Like celebrities, right? Like you mm-hmm. can make it like a fan page and that could be whatever, but you can't verify a fan page because that's not the actual artist, mm-hmm. right? Now, what that has to do with monetization is that for both, you need to submit a different type of review process. You need to submit a verification process, which has less stringent requirements as long as you can prove that you're the official account of the official person mm-hmm. that you're representing. But you still need to hit those same points. You know what I mean? You still need
benchmarks.
Right. To have like a certain amount of followers and a certain amount of time. You have to tag your business partners, your brand partners. You know mm-hmm. what I mean? If you have an account that doesn't have any like business setup, brand setup, or any settings like that, then people are going to be like, well, then this isn't a business, you know? Mm-hmm. In conjunction with the whole monetization review process, where they kind of mix is that monetization has those requirements that you have to reach in a short amount of time. And then once you get there, then you have to then they give you this whole sheet about your pricing model. And then you have to decide how you're going to increase that, which is not something that you need to do to be verified. You know mm-hmm. what I mean?
Verification, also, you can monetize an account based on, so we're talking about monetizing through Instagram. Yeah. Right? Like you can still be sponsored by other people. You can still be Absolutely. An influencer and be making money off of such and such brand that wants you to wear their clothes or talk about their products. We're talking about making actual money off of Instagram, the company.
To her second question, so she asked about fake accounts, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the thing about fake accounts, if nobody's ever explored the topic. So social media has a lot of bots, has a lot of fake accounts, has a lot of robotic blank pages, fake pages that techies kind of like throw out there in order to kind of fill the masses. Now, the thing about that is that people can buy followers, you know? Um, and everybody's like, okay, well, I could buy followers. That's cute. That's cool. I can grow my thing. I want everybody to know we can tell if your followers are fake or not. We can tell which accounts are fake or not. Our systems have a detection tool wherein if you have, and like I showed Erin this the other day, we had a client who had several thousand followers. And so let me tell you. So the reason why we're talking about this in conjunction with the whole monetization verification thing is because for fake accounts, if your social media page is 25% or more read as fake accounts, if we detect 25% or more fake accounts on your account, you're automatically disqualified from verification and monetization. No matter if you've been hitting your goals, no matter if you have a certain amount of followers, no matter if you have a certain video views, no matter if you've achieved a certain amount of engagement, you know what I mean? If you have more than 25% of your following account fake accounts, then you're automatically disqualified for verification and monetization, period.
Also, don't want to be like too black and white about this. There are obviously times when you don't care. You just need the followers, right? If your content's solid and you have the number of followers, it could benefit you in certain arenas. There are lots of people out there who don't know and don't care. But if you do want monetization, and you do want verification, and you do want all of these things, right? If you want to really use Instagram to its fullest extent to grow your company, you need to follow these rules because they're still invested in the company and keeping it what they want it to be.
Yeah. And another thing too is that it doesn't look good to buy all your followers, have a bunch of followers on your fake account and still have low engagement. You know what I mean? We saw it this week like 3 times, me and the boys, and then that one time with you. You know, like we looked at several accounts where they had that over 25% and on their actual social media page, they only had like 12 likes, 9 likes, 100 views, this or that. And it just kind of like people need to understand how ridiculous you look with like 20,000 people following you and only like 7 post likes. Because that's really what you're saying. You're really saying that like 19,000 I don't know math, 19,000 people don't like you enough to like your content. And if 19,000 people don't like you, if 19,000 people don't squad with you, why would you be qualified to get monetized? Or why would you qualify to get verified? Like, that makes no sense. Nobody's going to do it. It's a scam. It's a lie.
But I think to a lot of people, it doesn't matter. But I think in the end, you got to take a look at what you're using Instagram for, right? So it can work for you for a certain amount of time. And then after that, there's there's a huge divide between the people who are doing it for real and the people who aren't. So one thing I will say is there are definitely clients, and you know, the clients that we're talking about right now are not those clients. But there are definitely people who've come to me in the past and are like, oh, well, how quickly can we grow this to 20,000 or how quickly can we grow this to 50,000? So the answer is we don't do that.
Right. We're not a growth company.
We're not an engagement company at all. We don't do engagement for anyone. We do content and we do data. But the answer to how to grow to that point is there isn't really an overnight answer. I mean, and sometimes this is something you want to be careful of if you're like a mid-sized business owner or even a small business owner. Sometimes you get duped. You know, sometimes you get somebody coming along saying, oh, I'll manage your social media. And what they really are doing is buying fake followers. So they might still be posting for you. They might still be engaging with people on your platform. But
Yeah.
they're also buying fake followers. They're buying fake accounts because they want you to feel like, oh, well.
Like you're buying into something.
Yeah, they want you to feel like they're growing your account. The problem is they're not growing it the real way. They're not growing it by growing engagement. They're not growing it by talking to people. They're growing it by buying fake accounts with part of the money that you gave them. I think that the hybrid, I almost don't want to call it a hybrid though, because it's still fake.
Yeah.
Like the other thing that you can do, and I have been with these companies, engaged with these companies before for clients who wanted this. There are companies out there who will follow people en masse for you.
Yeah.
And they're real people. They're not getting fake accounts. They're getting you real accounts. Okay. So there are companies that will do that. The problem with those companies, so the one great thing is that you're not getting fake followers, you're getting real followers.
Right.
Those followers will stay and they will contribute to your engagement stats. They will contribute in a positive way for the most part, because if the company is good, they're getting like-minded people, like-minded accounts, right? The problem with those companies is that they're still using a bot. And it's just a matter of time before you get locked out of your account. Right? It's just a matter of time before Instagram recognizes, because they're still at the top of their game. It's just a matter of time before they recognize what's going on and they block you or lock you out of your account or completely disengage your account.
For sure.
Which is a huge problem. So those are kind of, it's not completely black and white, but in the end, if you do want it to serve you in the way that it's meant to serve you as a business owner, you want to grow it organically. You want to grow it by engaging.
Right. It's one of those things that's really the only way. And you want to have realistic goals about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a lot of restaurant clients and, they'll ask us that question, how many followers can you give me? Like, what can I expect? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, don't expect 20,000 followers for being like a local restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with 20,000 followers and you don't have 20,000 customers coming to you? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I mean, sometimes like we'll look at accounts locally that, and we'll kind of like, we'll see what they're doing content wise and we'll see the number of people that are following them and we'll be like,
right.
Yeah. Where'd you get that? How'd that happen?
And the other thing is too, is that like part of my data reviews is I'll go in with customers and I'll reference their sales data. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, like if you have 5,000 sales in a month, then you should maybe like cap it at like 5,000 followers. Cause like, let's not pretend that you're going to get like 20,000 sales just because your page has like 100,000 followers. You know what I mean? Like, let's not pretend
that all of it's going to convert.
Yeah, because even like famous chefs' restaurants, and things like that, they don't have followers like that. You know what I mean? There's not one restaurant that has like 1 million views or a million followers. Because why? They're not getting 1 million people. Sure, they're like selling 1 million stuff a year, but like they're not. Like traffic isn't like that.
Just to end it on a positive note here.
Right, I know we've been digging into people.
Yeah, but
exposed.
So when does having a massive following help you?
A massive following helps you when you're trying to build brand awareness and when you're trying to give yourself voice,
loyalty,
tone, personality. You know what I mean? Because if you have, like, let's say you're a restaurant. Let's say, you post your restaurant stuff, but people know you from your funny videos of your staff. People know you from the funny interactions that you have. People know you from the interviews that you give and things like that. You know what I mean? And like your charity work, things that you do outside, all your external to your restaurant location business that you can tag, share that's happening at your business. Or like, let's say you host events at your business. You know what I mean? Like, then obviously you can expect to have a higher following base because that's giving them other content to engage with that doesn't necessarily contribute to your business model. Because at the end of the day, you're still just selling food, but your social media is helping you talk to people, helping you engage with people, helping you get ideas, helping you start conversations, helping you build a community around your space. You know what I mean? And that's not the same as paying for ad campaigns to be funneled into your sales.
And I would say virality is super important when you're trying to spread a message, right? So if you're a nonprofit that's trying to be particularly devoted to one mission and you're looking for donors, it's things like that. That's when your numbers count, right? Because you're not necessarily, it's the it's the look of what you're doing less than how it's immediately funneling back into sales, right?
Right.
Where if you really are a very commercial business, if you're selling food or you're selling product, the engagement really matters because that's what's getting you conversion. That was a good one.
Indeed. Great question.
Do you guys think that was a good one?
I thought it was a good one.
We thought it was a good one. But maybe we just like hearing ourselves talk.
I honestly, I wish we had a mic so I could just like drop it, and then.
Well, we do, but it's a Blue Yeti and it's back here, and I actually don't know if it even works with this Mac because it's so old.
Dropping the podcast mic.
I feel like it's a bad idea.
Of course. There it goes.
I feel like this just looks really wrong too. I don't know.
It's just kind of like.
I don't know. Here. You handle that. I'm good. And with that, my friends, we love you all very much. We'll see you next week. This is episode 16.
16.
We're only a few away from episode 20. I don't know exactly how many away we are because I can't do math in my head.
Honestly.
Artist. Hashtag bad Asian. No, I'm kidding. I can count.
And you know what? And everybody has to drink with us for our 20th.
Yes.
We don't care if you're at work. Put your jobs in danger for our sake.
We never even, well, first of all, we didn't say that. But second of all, we really didn't finish these.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to chug these now.
I can't, Chris. I can't.
I know. We still got. You know what? I bet you could if we taught you how to cake stand.
Bye.
Oh my goodness.